guys ever wondered what if Nami was the main character instead of Luffy? Instead of Luffy's dream of becoming the king of the pirates leading the way, we follow Nami's journey of freedom, strength, and discovery. Well, you don't have to worry about anything since we've got you covered. In this video, we'll cover an alternate timeline in which Nami is the main character. Without any further ado, let's dive right in. Nami grew up in Kokoyashi village with her sister Nojiko and her adoptive mother Belmare. Life was poor but full of love. Nami loved drawing maps and often dreamed of exploring the world to make a map of the entire sea. That dream shattered when Arlong and his crew invaded the village. Belmare was killed before Nami's eyes, and the young girl was forced to work for Arlong as his map maker. Years of hardship made Nami strong and clever. She learned how to survive using her wits, charm, and knowledge of the sea. Deep down, she carried two dreams: to free her village from Arlong, and to one day finish her world map as a free woman. Unlike Luffy, she had no devil fruit powers to rely on. Instead, her strength came from her determination and sharp mind. One day, Nami decided she couldn't wait any longer. She stole maps from Arlong's stash and built a small boat. At this point, Nami realized that she couldn't defeat Arlong alone, so she set out on her journey to find allies and a way to defeat Arlong. Her journey took her to a small town where a boy named Luffy lived. Luffy's story had started much like the original timeline. He had eaten the Gomu Gomu no Mi and dreamed of adventure, but he didn't have that burning passion of becoming the pirate king. When Nami arrived, she quickly crossed paths with him. She didn't tell anyone about Arlong or her past. To Luffy, she simply said she wanted to travel the world and one day draw a complete map of it. That was enough for him. When Zoro joined them, he agreed easily, since his own dream of becoming the world's strongest swordsman fit well with sailing the seas. Sanji followed soon after, with his usual mix of charm and devotion to Nami. For him, no reason was needed beyond her smile. But things changed after Sanji joined. News reached Nami of Kokoyashi village and Arlong's growing grip on her people. The weight of her past came crashing back. Without saying a word to her new companions, she slipped away, leaving the crew behind. Luffy and the others were surprised, but not shaken. They went after her, and during their search they ended up in Syrup village, where they met Usopp, who entertained them with tall tales but also showed his courage when it mattered. The group gained both a ship, the Going Merry, and a new companion, though Nami was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Nami had reached Kokoyashi village alone. Fueled by anger and desperation, she confronted Arlong directly, but without allies, without power, she stood no chance. Arlong beat her down, crushing both her body and her pride. She was thrown into a cell, broken and defeated. Days later, she managed to escape, slipping away under the cover of night. She had wanted to protect her village with her own hands, but she now understood her mistake. She'd abandoned the only people who truly wanted to stand by her side. She was regretting her decisions as she stole a barrel and let the sea carry her away. A violent storm struck and she was washed ashore on a small uninhabited island. Days passed with no food, her strength drained, and for the first time since Belmare's death, she felt completely alone. One day, wandering weakly through the forest, she found a strange fruit shaped like a swirling blue drop of water. With no other choice, she ate it. Bitter as it was, the fruit filled her body with a strange power. Soon she discovered she could bend water to her will, pulling it from rivers, lakes, even the air. She had eaten the Mizu Mizu no Mi, the water fruit. For the first time, Nami felt a surge of hope. But along with it came a lesson she would never forget. Power alone was not enough. She needed her crew. She needed Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and even the liar Usopp. Only together could they stand against Arlong. Her real journey had only just begun. On the deserted island, Nami slowly learned how to use the power of the Mizu Mizu no Mi. At first, she could only pull water from the ground or air, making small streams and shields. But with practice, her control grew. She found out she could ride waves and even create steps of water under her feet. With this, she could move across the ocean itself. Now, for the first time in her life, Nami felt strong. When she finally returned to Kokoyashi, her heart filled with hope. But what she saw destroyed her. The village was in ruins. Arlong had gone mad with rage after her escape. Houses were broken, the people were beaten down, and despair covered the whole place. Nami dropped to her knees, tears pouring down as she saw the damage. She hated herself for leaving, for thinking she could fight this battle alone. But at that moment, she heard familiar voices behind her. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and even Usopp had made it to the island. In the original story, she asked Luffy for help, but this time, things were different. She wiped her eyes, stood tall, and told them that she would fight with them. This was her village, her family, and her chance to make things right. The group stormed Arlong Park together. The fishmen laughed when they saw Nami in front of them. Arlong walked out, smirking as he mocked her. "You're still the same weak little girl. You only lived because I let you live. Do you really think a human like you can defeat me?" Nami faced him with steady eyes. "I'm not the same girl you chained anymore." Arlong lunged, swinging his massive fist at her. Nami raised her hand, and a wall of water rose in front of her. The punch hit with a crash, but the water shield held. The shock on Arlong's face made Luffy laugh out loud. Before he could move again, Nami shifted the ground under him into water. His footing collapsed and he slipped, crashing into the stone floor. The other fishermen rushed forward, but Zoro and Sanji cut them down, leaving Nami and Arlong to face each other alone. The fight was fierce. Arlong swung his jagged blade with brutal force, but Nami answered with flowing whips of water. He tried to overpower her, but each time she redirected his strength, turning it against him. Finally, she gathered all her strength, and with a final powerful wave, she smashed Arlong into the walls of his own tower, breaking stone and pride alike. When he fell, silence filled the park. Then, slowly, cheers spread through the villagers. Kokoyashi was free. Nami collapsed to her knees, but this time her tears were tears of relief. She looked up at her crew, who stood proudly at her side. She had made the mistake of leaving them once, but now she knew she would never face the sea alone again. After defeating Arlong, Nami truly stepped into her role as captain. The crew trusted her completely, and with her sharp mind and the power of the Mizu Mizu no Mi, she led them across the Grand Line. In Alabasta, Nami was the one who saw through Crocodile's schemes. She planned the strategy, keeping the crew together and guiding Vivi until Crocodile was finally defeated. To the world, it looked like Nami's crew had challenged a warlord and won. Her reputation as a captain grew. On Skypiea, her dream of mapping the world deepened. Seeing an island in the sky changed her forever. She fought alongside her crew against Enel, and it was her navigation and water powers that turned the tide against his lightning. At Eni's lobby, when Robin was taken, Nami made the decision that no matter what, they would declare war on the world government. She was the one who raised her voice and said that they would burn down the flag. That moment sealed her crew's bond forever. Through Thriller Bark and Sabodi, Nami grew into more than just a navigator. She became a leader feared by her enemies and loved by her people. When the crew was scattered at Sabodi, Luffy rushed headlong into Marineford on his own. Nami, however, refused to stay behind. Using every skill she had, she tracked him, but arrived a little late. By then, the war was already in full chaos. Admirals, warlords, and Whitebeard's fleet clashed with the Marines. Nami was stronger than ever. Her control over the Mizu Mizu no Mi sharpened, and her mastery of Haki making her a true force. She cut through the battlefield, searching for Luffy. Luffy fought desperately to save Ace, pushing himself with the Gomu Gomu no Mi. He made it close, but just as Akainu prepared to punch a hole through Ace, Nami appeared. With her arms raised, a massive shield of water surged forward, stopping the magma fist just inches away. The two forces clashed, steam bursting in the air. Nami gritted her teeth. She knew she couldn't defeat Sakazuki, not here, not now. But she could buy enough time. She pulled Luffy and Ace into a wave, wrapping them with water and carrying them away from the chaos. Together they escaped, and for the first time, Ace lived. When it was all over, Nami offered him a place in her crew, but Ace refused. He smiled and thanked her, saying he had his own path to walk, just as she had hers. They parted as allies, with a bond of trust forged in fire and water. From then on, Nami's view of the world began to change. On their journey through the seas, the crew discovered truths the world government had hidden. The Void Century, the ancient weapons, the lies written into history. Nami saw a pattern. Everywhere they went, there were people suffering under oppression, just like her village had under Arlong. Nations ruled by corrupt kings, islands crushed by marines, entire peoples enslaved by the celestial dragons. Her dream of making a map of the entire world remained, but it grew into something larger. She didn't want to just chart the seas, she wanted to liberate them. She wanted her map to show a free world. After some time, Nami and her crew eventually came across Kaido. Nami clashed with Kaido in a battle that shook the seas. She formed storms, waves, and even a dragon of water, but Kaido crushed it and struck her down. As he moved to finish her, his arm froze, turning blue. Nami had awakened her devil fruit. The land dried to a desert as she drew in all the moisture, seizing control of Kaido's very blood. Chains of water bound him, blades cut through his scales, and for the first time, Kaido was defeated. With her newfound power, Nami defeated him, standing tall for everyone who had ever lived in chains. Do you think Nami would be able to achieve her goal? Let us know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, you'll be sure to like the next one that's appearing on your screen now. Go ahead, click it.